Strangers in the snow. The wind howled outside, cold and wild. Snow covered everything in a thick, white blanket. Jason stood near the window of his small shelter, watching the storm. His breath made fog on the glass. The planet, called Velrun 6, was always cold. But tonight, it felt deadly. He lived alone, far from the colony base. He liked peace and silence. After working years in space stations and war zones, this quiet life was a gift. Then he heard something. A sound. Faint. Not the wind. Not a machine. It was a voice. Jason narrowed his eyes. Was someone crying? He opened the door. Cold air hit his face like knives. He stepped out slowly, scanning the snowy ground with a flashlight. Their movement, a shape in the snow. Two shapes. He ran forward. Lying there were two girls, not human. Their skin was pale blue, almost glowing in the snow. They had long silver hair, now frozen at the tips. Their clothes were thin and torn. One was older, maybe 20. The other looked like a teen. They were shaking, almost unconscious. "Hey, can you hear me?" Jason knelt beside them. The older girl opened her eyes slightly. She looked at him, afraid and weak. "Please, help my sister." Jason didn't wait. He picked up the younger girl first and carried her inside. Then came back for the other inside. He wrapped them in warm blankets. He turned on the heaters, made soup, and checked their vitals with his scanner. They were alien, yes, but very close to humans. Their heartbeats were slow. Their bodies were cold, but they were alive. The younger girl woke up first. Her big, violet eyes stared at Jason. "Who are you?" she asked in a small voice. "My name is Jason," he said gently. "You're safe now." She looked around, confused. "Where's my sister?" "She's right here," he said, and pointed to the couch where the older one rested. Eyes closed, but breathing. The girl began to cry softly. "Thank you." After an hour, the older sister woke up too. She sat up suddenly, like someone ready to fight. "Easy," Jason said. "You were in the snow. I brought you in." She looked at him, unsure if she could trust him. "You didn't leave us there?" she asked. Double quotes, "No. I found you just in time." She looked down, then whispered, "Thank you, truly." "What's your name?" Jason asked. "I'm Lyra. This is my little sister, Naya." Jason nodded. "You're safe here, Lyra. What happened to you two?" Lyra hesitated. Her hands gripped the blanket tightly. Naya answered instead. "We escaped from a ship." Jason frowned. "What kind of ship?" "What kind of ship?" Lyra looked at him now, with deep sadness in her eyes. "A slaver ship." Jason's stomach turned. He had heard of alien traffickers, cruel beings who captured and sold others like cargo. "You escaped and ran into the storm?" he asked. "We had no choice," Lyra said. "They were going to sell us, separate us. We jumped from the landing dock, ran, hid. Then the snow started." Jason sat back. This was serious. These girls were fugitives, but victims, not criminals. Naya moved closer to him, shivering. "You won't send us back, right?" Jason looked at both of them. They were scared, lost, and hurt. He shook his head. "No, you're safe here." Lyra's eyes softened. "You don't even know us." "I know enough," Jason said. Silence filled the room for a moment. The storm outside got louder, then something beeped. Jason turned to his console. A signal. Incoming transmission. Unknown ship detected. His heart raced. He opened the message to all stations. 2 valuable assets escaped from transport. Female, young, blue-skinned. High reward for return. Report sightings immediately. Jason turned off the screen quickly. He looked back. Lyra had seen it too. Her face went pale. "Don't let them find us," she whispered. Jason stood up, his voice calm but firm. "They won't, I promise." Outside, the snow kept falling. Inside, the small shelter was warm, but now filled with fear and something else too. Hope *, the storm was gone by morning. The land outside Jason's shelter looked calm, white, and silent. But inside, tension still filled the air. Jason made tea. It wasn't much, just dried herbs and warm water. But it helped. He handed a cup to Lyra, who sat quietly on the couch. Her silver hair was still damp from melted snow. Her eyes watched everything, sharp and alert. Naya sat close to the heater, hugging her knees. She didn't speak much, but her eyes, always, followed her sister as if afraid to be separated again. Jason sat across from them. "So," he said, gently, "do you want to tell me more?" Lyra didn't answer right away. She stared at the tea like it held the past. "We come from a planet called Orin 4, she said finally. "It was taken long ago. We were born in a slave camp." Jason felt a knot in his chest. "We never had a home," she continued. "It's cages, guards, orders. Then, 2 weeks ago, they moved us onto a ship, said we were ready for sail. I knew what that meant." Kaya's voice was quiet, shaky. "They were going to separate us, sell us to different planets. We didn't want that." Jason leaned forward. "So you escaped?" Lyra nodded. "One of the guards got lazy. We fought, took his passkey. We jumped from the landing bay when they landed to refuel. We ran into the snow." "You would have frozen," Jason said softly. "We almost did," Lyra said. "Then you found us." Jason looked at them carefully. They were survivors. Brave, smart, and lucky. He pulled out a small device from his pocket. It scanned DNA and vital signs. He held it toward Lyra. "May I?" he asked. She hesitated, then gave a small nod. The scan ran silently. Jason frowned. "Your body, it's close to human. Very close. Stronger bones, faster healing, but there's something strange." "What do you mean?" Lyra asked. Jason showed her the data. "Your nervous system. It's enhanced, like you have abilities that haven't fully awakened." Lyra looked surprised. "They said something like that we were special stock. They ran tests. But they never told us why." Jason turned to Naya. "What about you?" She looked nervous, but nodded too. As the scan began, the machine blinked quickly. Jason's eyes widened. "Naya," he said slowly, "your brain activity. It's way above normal. Almost like a weapon." She whispered. Jason stared at her. She hugged herself. "Sometimes, when I'm scared, strange things happen. Lights explode. People fall. I don't mean to do it." Jason remembered stories of psychic races banned by some alien councils, hunted by others. "That's why they wanted us," Lyra said. "Not just for labor or sale, for experiments, power." Jason stood and paced. He wasn't just hiding runaways. He was protecting two powerful wanted beings. And now, that same signal, the one from last night, was blinking again on his console. A ship was near. Still searching. "I'll hide you both in the storage bunker," he said. "It's shielded. You can't scan through it." Lyra stood. "No, we won't hide again. We're tired of running." Jason looked at her. She was fierce, even tired and hurt. "This isn't pride," he said. "It's survival. They're still out there." Lyra looked at Naya, then nodded slowly. "All right, but not for long. We won't live in shadows." Jason led them to the bunker. It was small, cold, filled with old tools and crates, but safe. "You'll be fine here," he said. "I'll handle any visitors." As he returned upstairs, Jason's mind raced. Who were these girls? Really? It's not just aliens, not just survivors. They were something rare, something powerful, and maybe something dangerous. He sat at his console, watching the sky. The ship above was moving again, scanning wide, searching. It hadn't found them. Not yet. But how long would that last? Suddenly, a soft knock behind him. He turned. It was Neha Yu. "Shouldn't be up here," Jason said gently. She looked nervous. "I just wanted to ask something." "Go on," he said. Neha walked closer. "Why are you helping us? You don't know us. You could sell us, like the others." Jason looked into her eyes. "Because I was once like you." Neha blinked. "You were a slave." "No," Jason said. "But I was lost. In a war. Far from home. Someone helped me once. A stranger. They gave me food, shelter, and hope. I never forgot that." Neha's eyes filled with tears. She hugged him, suddenly, like a scared child. "Thank you." Jason froze for a second, then gently hugged her back. "You don't have to thank me," he said. "You just have to stay alive." As Neha walked back to the bunker, Jason sat alone again. Outside, the snow had stopped falling, but the storm wasn't over. Not yet. Jason stood at the window, watching the sky. A ship was out there, not just passing by. It was looking for something, or someone. He knew what that meant. Down in the bunker, Lyra and Neha waited. Safe for now, but afraid. Jason had done his best to hide them, but the slavers were close. Too close. He checked the scanner again. The ship was circling the valley. No ID signal. No contact. That was the first red flag. Then a second red flag. Ground movement. A small transport ship was landing nearby. It's not on the colony map. Silent, hidden. Jason's fingers tightened around the edge of the console. They were here. He walked to the cabinet and opened a hidden drawer. Inside were 2 old blasters and a shock baton. He hadn't used them in years. But today, peace was no longer enough. Outside, the snow crunched under heavy boots. 4 figures moved across the white field, dressed in black armor with glowing visors. No words, no noise. They carried long-range rifles and a tracker device blinking softly. "Life form detected," one of them said through static. "Underground, low-energy signature. Could be cloaked." Jason stepped out of the shelter, slowly, holding nothing in his hands. He raised his voice, calm, confident. "You're not supposed to be here. This land is private." The leader of the group turned toward him. "Just searching," the voice replied, filtered through a mask. "We lost something. 2 females. Rare, kind, valuable." Jason shrugged. "Haven't seen anyone?" Another stepped forward. "Mind if we look inside?" Jason gave a small smile. "I do mind." The 4 slavers raised their weapons, but before they could speak, boom, a loud bang exploded behind the house. Smoke rose from a small device Jason had planted earlier. It was a noise trap meant for hunting snow beasts, but now used for confusion. The slavers turned their heads. That was all the time Jason needed. He dove behind cover, grabbed his blaster, and fired 2 quick shots. One slaver dropped, stunned. The others returned fire. Blue bolts flew across the snow. Jason rolled, fired again, hit one in the leg, screams, more smoke. Inside the bunker, Lyra heard everything. She grabbed a metal rod and opened the trapdoor. Neha grabbed her arm. "Don't go out. He's fighting for us," Lyra said. "I won't let him die alone." She climbed out. Back outside, Jason was pinned behind a rock. His gun hummed low, power running out. One slaver was sneaking around the side. He could hear the snow crunching, then a sharp scream. Jason peeked and saw Lyra fighting. She had knocked one down with her metal rod, fast and brutal. Her eyes were cold, trained like someone who had fought before. Jason fired again and hit the last slaver in the chest. The snow went silent. Lyra helped him up. "You okay?" Jason nodded. "You didn't listen to me." "I never said I would," she replied. They shared a look, part respect, part understanding. Then a sound made them both turn. Behind them, one of the slavers, the first one Jason had stunned, was crawling, hand reaching for a cum device. He pressed it. Jason ran and kicked the device. But it was too late. The signal was sent. "They know we're here now," he said. Lyra's face turned serious. "Then we don't have much time." Back in the shelter, Naya was waiting. She ran to Jason and hugged him tightly. "I thought you were hurt." "I'm okay," he said, brushing her hair back. "Thanks to your sister." Lyra didn't reply. Her mind was elsewhere. Jason turned to both of them. "We have to move." That signal, it called for backup. Naya's eyes widened. "More of them? Maybe a full ship," Jason said. "They won't knock next time." Lyra stepped forward. "Then we run." Jason shook his head. "They'll track you from the air." "We don't have a ship fast enough." "But we can't hide here," Lyra said. Jason paused, then walked to a corner of the shelter. He pulled back a tarp. Under it was a large metal door locked tight with codes and rust. "What is that?" Naya asked. Jason entered a code. The door opened slowly with a hiss. Inside was an old shuttle. Dusty, damaged, but real. "I've been fixing it for years," Jason said. "Didn't plan to leave until now." Lyra stepped inside, her eyes shining. "Can it fly? Maybe?" Jason said. With help, Naya walked beside him. "We'll help. Just promise you won't leave us behind." Jason looked at her, then at Lyra. "I won't. Not now. Not ever." That night, while stars blinked above the snow-covered valley, 3 unlikely companions worked on a broken ship with fear behind them, and only a fragile hope ahead. But one thing was clear. The chase had begun. The old shuttle sat in silence. Under Jason's shelter, broken, dusty, but full of hope, Jason wiped sweat from his forehead. His hands were covered in grease. Sparks flew from a control panel as he fixed the power core. Every wire mattered. Every second counted up above. The stars were quiet. But they all knew that silence wouldn't last. Lyra stood nearby, holding a toolbox. She was learning fast, not just how to fight, but how to build, fix, survive. Naya sat on the floor, her eyes closed. She was trying to control her mind, her strange powers. The last time she had panicked, a slaver's rifle had exploded in his hands. It saved Jason's life, but it scared her too. "I don't want to be dangerous," she whispered once. Jason had told her, "You're not. You're just learning who you are." That night, they sat together around a heater. The cold outside pressed hard against the walls, but inside, it was warm, not just in temperature, but in feeling. Jason made soup. Lyra tasted it, paused, then smiled slightly. "It's not bad." She said, "That's high praise from you." Jason replied. Nia giggled, her eyes sparkling. Lyra looked at him. "You've done too much for us." Jason shook his head. "You say that like it's a bad thing. You risked your life. You're fixing a ship you weren't going to use. You should have left us." Jason looked serious now. "I don't leave people behind," he said. "Not anymore." There was a long pause. Then Lyra asked quietly, "Did you lose someone?" Jason nodded. "Years ago, a mission. I was a soldier, We left a civilian group behind. Command said it was too risky to go back. His voice lowered. I followed. Orders, but I still hear their voices sometimes. That's why I live out here. That's why I helped you. Lyra looked at him for a long time. You're not like other humans, she said. Jason smiled. You haven't met enough. In the days that followed, something changed between them. Not just survival now, something softer. Lighter, Jason taught Lyra how to fly the shuttle. She was a fast learner, calm, focused. He admired her strength, her sharp thinking. Lyra, in turn, began to trust him not just with her life, but with her story. She told him how she raised Nea alone since they were young. How she fought off guards with only broken metal scraps. How she once got punished for stealing bread for her sister. You're more soldier than I ever was, Jason told her once. She looked away, but smiled quietly. Meanwhile, Naya grew stronger. Every morning, she trained her mind. Jason helped, building a small target range. Naya practiced bending small objects without touching them. At first, just pebbles, then tools, then switches. But one morning, something strange happened. Jason brought her a hot drink. And as he stepped close, the cup floated slightly before. Naya even noticed. He froze. Naya blinked, surprised. I didn't mean to, she said. I was just happy to see you. Jason stared at her. Your powers react to emotion. Lyra entered then. She had heard. That's why they wanted her, she said slowly. If she gets strong enough, she won't need ships or weapons. Jason looked at Naya. Then we'll help you control it. You're not a weapon. You're a person, Naya smiled, and for the first time, she believed it. That night, the heater glowed soft orange. The room was quiet, peaceful. Jason sat reading an old manual. Lyra sat across from him, brushing Naya's hair as the younger girl dozed off. Lyra spoke. Softly, you know? In my culture, there is a custom. Jason looked up. If someone saves your life, if they offer you warmth, food, safety, and treat you with kindness, they're seen as more than a friend. Jason raised an eyebrow. More? Lyra nodded. It means they're part of your family. Sometimes, even your mate. Jason blinked. You mean marriage? Lyra didn't look away. We don't use that word, but yes. He put the book down slowly. And what do you believe? Lyra was quiet for a moment. Then, I believe you gave us more than safety. You gave us peace, a future, a reason to stop running. Jason's heart beat faster. Lyra, I didn't do it for a reward. I know, she said. That's why it means so much. She stood, walked over to him, and gently placed her hand on his. We don't expect anything, but if you choose us, we'll never leave your side. Jason looked. At her? Really looked. And in her eyes, he saw something he hadn't seen in years. Home. Outside. Far beyond the hills, a new ship entered the system. Faster, heavier, deadlier. It moved through the stars. Like a blade, and inside it, a commander stared. At the screen, eyes burning. Lock onto that signal. Prepare to land. I want the girls alive. The storm was coming again, but inside one quiet shelter, love had started to grow. The sky was quiet, too quiet. Jason stood outside the shelter, looking up. The stars above Velran 6 twinkled softly, but something felt wrong. Not a sound, not a breeze, not even the usual hum of satellites. It was the kind of silence that came. Before a storm dot behind him, Lyra tightened a bolt on the shuttle's left engine. Nea sat inside the cockpit, running a power test. They were almost ready. The ship could fly. Not far, but maybe far enough. Jason checked his radar scanner again. Then it appeared. A black ship. Bigger than the last. Faster. Smarter. No ID, no signal. Just a slow descent from the sky like a shadow falling across the land. He ran inside. "Time's up," he said. They found us. Inside the command deck of the slaver ship, a tall figure stood still. Commander Varnak, half machine, half skin. His face had long scars and one cold red eye. He had chased the sisters across 5 systems. Not for money, for pride. They had escaped him once. That was one time too many. "They are below," said a crew member. "Land the ship," Varnak growled. No mercy. Back at the shelter, Jason tossed a bag to Lyra. "We can't outrun them yet," he said. "The shuttle's close, but not ready for a long jump." "We'll fight," Lyra said, standing tall. Jason met her eyes. "You don't." "Have to." Lyra placed a hand on his chest. "I want to." They set traps fast, old tech, motion mines, camo drones, short-range EMP bursts. Jason had trained for war long ago, but this time it felt different. He wasn't fighting for orders. He was fighting for them, for his strange little family. The slaver ship landed like a monster. Dust rose, ice cracked beneath its weight. 10 soldiers came out first, armored, masked, armed with plasma rifles. Behind them, Varnak walked slowly, as if already certain of victory. Jason waited behind a snow wall, his blaster ready. Lyra crouched beside him, holding a shock knife. Naya hid behind the shuttle, her hands trembling, heart racing. "Remember what we practiced," Jason whispered. "Breathe, focus. You're stronger than you know." Naya nodded. Her fear was deep, but beneath it was something brighter, something fierce. Then the first mine exploded. 2 slavers down instantly. Screams, confusion. Jason popped up and fired. Lyra moved fast, dodging blasts and slicing a soldier's weapon in half with a hiss of sparks. Varnak didn't flinch. "Find them, kill the human, bring the girls to me." The slavers moved in tighter, but Jason and Lyra fought back with perfect rhythm like they'd been a team for years. Behind the shuttle, Naya squeezed her eyes shut. Her hands were glowing faintly now, soft blue light dancing between her fingers. She heard Jason's voice in her mind. "You're not a weapon. You're a person. But if they force your hand, defend what you love." She stood up. A slaver saw her and aimed. Naya raised her hand instinctively. Crack. The rifle exploded in the slaver's hand. He screamed and dropped. Another blast, this one from inside the shuttle, knocked 2 more away. Naya's control was shaky, but her power was real. Lyra turned and saw her sister standing tall, eyes glowing. Her voice caught in her throat. She's becoming who she's meant to be. But the battle wasn't over. Jason was pinned down behind the generator unit. His blaster was almost empty. A slaver crept behind him, silent. Then metal struck. Metal, the slaver dropped. Lyra stood over the body, breathing hard, blood on her blade. "You all right?" she asked. Jason nodded. "Never better." Then Varnak stepped forward. He raised a sonic cannon and fired. The wave hit hard, invisible but strong. Jason and Lyra were thrown back. The snow cracked beneath them. Varnak marched through the smoke. "We'll take back what is mine," he said. Naya stepped between him and her sister. "No," she said softly. Varnak laughed. You're just a child with a spark." "I'm more than that," Naya whispered. Her voice was calm now, and the ground began to shake. Snow rose in the air like dust. The sky above seemed to flicker. Machines nearby sparked and shorted. Varnak raised his cannon again, but this time it melted in his hand. Then he fell to one knee, choking, gasping, his helmet cracking. "You don't know what you are," he growled. "I know what I'm not," Naya said. "I'm not yours." With one final pulse of her mind, she sent him flying back into his own ship. The hatch shut behind him. Locked. Lyra ran to Naya and hugged her tightly. You did it. You did it. Jason joined them, limping slightly. You saved us all. The slaver ship, damaged and confused, lifted off, slow. Unsure, it vanished into the clouds, leaving behind silence. Real silence, peaceful. That night, the shelter was quiet again. Broken walls, burned snow. But warmth inside. Jason cleaned his wounds while Naya rested. Lyra helped him, her hands steady, eyes soft. You stood between us and death today. Jason said to her, she touched his shoulder. And you stood between us and fear. He looked at her. Are you sure? He asked quietly. Lyra smiled. I'm not asking any more. I've chosen. Jason took her hand. So have I. Outside, under the stars, 3 shadows stood beside a half-repaired shuttle. Not just survivors. Now, but a family. 3 days had passed since the battle. Jason still checked the sky every hour, even when nothing showed on the radar. The memory of the slaver commander Varnak being thrown back by Naya's power burned bright in his mind. He knew that wasn't the end. Slavers didn't forgive. They regrouped. They returned stronger. That meant one thing. It was time to leave. Inside the shelter, the warmth was real now. Not just from heaters, but from something deeper. A bond. Lyra helped Jason install the final guidance unit on the shuttle's control panel. She wore one of his old jackets, the sleeves rolled up, her long silver hair tied back. You ever flown something this old? Jason asked, half smiling. I've never flown anything, Lyra said, smirking. But I learned fast. He chuckled. Yeah, you do. She looked at him, serious now. You're sure the engines will hold? I tuned them myself. She'll fly? And after that, Jason paused. There's a colony, human-run, peaceful. Far edge of the sector. If we make it there, we start fresh. Lyra nodded slowly. You really believe in fresh starts? She asked. Jason looked at her, his voice low. I didn't, till you two. Meanwhile, Naya stood outside the shuttle, hands buried in her coat pockets. Eyes on the open sky, she had changed. Not just stronger, steadier, more in control. She no longer feared her own power. She had faced the worst and stood tall. But she feared one thing still, leaving this place. The cold world that had tried to kill them had also brought them family. Jason walked over and stood beside her. You all right? Naya nodded. Just thinking. About what? She looked up. If there's room in your new life for someone like me. Jason smiled gently. You're the reason I'm even thinking about a new life. She smiled to a small, honest smile. The shuttle lit up for the first time in years. The engines roared gently, not screaming like they once did. Lights blinked on the console. Shields HUMMED. It was almost ready, but before they could celebrate, an alert flashed on the radar. One ship. No signal. Fast, heading straight for them. Jason's face tightened. They're back. Lyra stepped forward. Same ship. No. Smaller. Probably a scout or a drone. But if it finds us, the rest won't be far. We have to go now, Naya said. Jason looked at the shuttle. We need 10 more minutes to power the jump drive. Then we buy you 10 minutes, Lyra said. Already moving toward the defense grid, Jason grabbed her arm. You don't have to keep protecting me. She looked him in the eyes. We protect each other now. The next 10 minutes were a blur. Jason worked fast, fingers flying over buttons and wires. Naya held the power core steady with her mind as it surged into life. Lyra activated the old plasma turrets outside, sending blasts into the sky, driving the scout ship into a wide circle, forcing it to stay distant. But it wasn't retreating. It was scanning, sending signals. Calling its friends, Jason's voice rang out. Engines online. Lyra ran back inside, breathing hard, hair windblown. Did we make it? Okay, barely, Jason said. He looked at both sisters. You sure about this? Once we go, we can come back. Naya took his hand. Lyra stepped closer. We're sure. The shuttle's hatch closed with a hiss. The hum of engines grew deeper. Thrusters fired. The ground shook, and then they lifted off. For the first time since their crash on Velrun 6, they were in the sky again. As they rose, the scanner lit up. 5 enemy signals inbound. Jason grit his teeth. They're fast. We're not fast enough. We don't need to outrun them, Lyra said. What? Then, we need to jump. Jason stared at the jump control panel. The core was active, but unstable. If this fails, he said, the ship will tear apart. Lyra looked at Niwai. The young girl stepped forward and placed her hands over the console. I'll hold the core stable. Jason's voice cracked. Tina, if it surges, you could. I can do it, she said. I'm not afraid anymore. Jason met her eyes. There was no fear in them, only trust. He nodded. All right, jumping in 3, 2. The ship shuddered. Sparks flew. Naya's hands glowed bright. ... 1. Double quotes. Flash. The stars stretched. Time. Bent. The ship disappeared just as enemy fire reached the air behind it. They were gone, silence then. The ship steadied. Jason looked out the front window. A calm planet below. Green trees. Blue lakes. Warm light. Home. He turned to Lyra and Naya. We made it. Lyra smiled, tears in her eyes. Naya leaned against him, exhausted but safe. Jason looked at them both. Welcome to your future. And far behind them, in the cold darkness of space, Commander Varnock stared at the empty tracker screen, his metal fist clenched tight. You can't run forever, he whispered. But for now, the chase was over, and a new chapter had begun. The shuttle landed gently on the green hills of Alaris 9. A world far from the cold snow of Velrun-6. The air was warm. The sky was soft gold. Wind moved through tall blue grass like a whisper. Jason stepped out first, boots pressing into living soil. It had been years since his feet touched a planet that felt alive. Lyra followed, eyes wide. Her fingers touched the petals of a flower she didn't know the name of. It glowed faintly in her palm. Naya walked slowly, as if afraid the dream might break, but it didn't. Single quotes. This was real. A peaceful colony stood ahead, small homes built into the land, not on top of it. Humans, aliens, hybrids. All kinds of life living side by side. No soldiers, no scanners, no chains, no chains. Just families. Jason turned to the sisters. We're here, Naya whispered. Is it safe? Lyra didn't answer with words. She just held her hand out, and for the first time, she wasn't reaching for protection. She was reaching for peace. The colony welcomed them without question. Jason knew some of the settlers' old military friends who had left war behind and built something better. He explained what happened, who the sisters were, and what they had been through. No one judged. No one asked for proof. Just open doors and warm hands. Weeks passed. Lyra worked in the local workshop, fixing energy tools and ship cores with a steady hand. She became known for her focus and her quiet smile when she was proud of her work. Naya began helping at the med center. Her gentle presence calmed patients. Her power, still growing, now hummed like soft music when she used it to ease pain. Jason. He helped build homes. He had built weapons for too long. Now he built places where people could rest. Places with windows that let the stars in, not the fear. Their home was small, but perfect. A curved stone cottage on a hilltop. Big enough for 3. One evening, Jason stood outside, watching the sunset. Lyra walked up behind him and leaned. Against his side, "I found something today," she said. She held up a small metal tag, old, dented, barely readable. Jason squinted. "That's mine." "From my first deployment," Lyra smiled. It was under the shuttle seat. He took it and turned it over slowly in his fingers. "I was a different man when I wore this." "You're better now," Lyra said. He looked at her. "No," he whispered. "I'm whole now." Inside, Nia baked something, a strange mix of human bread and oranfor seeds. It smelled odd. Jason tried it anyway. It wasn't perfect, but it was hers. That night, after dinner, Nia sat beside Jason near the fire. She leaned her head on his shoulder and asked, "Do you still think about Valrun?" "Sometimes," he said. "I don't," she whispered. "Not anymore." He looked at her. "Good." She smiled. "This is home now." He looked across the room. Lyra sat by the window, reading a book. Jason had given her a novel about Earth, love, and stars. She looked up and said softly, "Jason." He stood. She walked to him, her expression calm, steady. "In my culture," she began, "when a male gives protection, warmth, and chooses to stay, the final word must come from him." Jason smiled. "Then I'll say it now." He stepped closer. "You are my family. Both of you, not just here, not just today, but always." Eli's eyes shimmered. "Then it's done." They didn't kiss like in the old Earth stories. Instead, they just held each other, and that was more than enough. Later that night, the wind moved gently across the hills. Stars blinked above, quiet witnesses. Inside a small home, a soldier slept without armor. A fighter slept without fear. And a girl once hunted, once unsure, dreamed of planting a garden in the far distance. Deep in space, the slavers still searched. But it didn't matter, because some stories don't end with battles or revenge. Some end with a door closed. And laughter inside, and the soft voice of a sister saying, "Good night, husband."